Hello everyone and welcome back to The Last Lap. In today's YouTube video we're going to be talking about everything that happened at Kansas Speedway, and boy was it an interesting weekend. But before we hop into it, I just want to remind you guys to hit that subscribe button and that like button. It really helps the channel out. You can also check us out on Instagram at The Last Lap News, and as always I have my friend and co-host Matthew on the show, and I actually have a special guest over here. The dog is sleeping on the bed over there, so yeah, that's pretty cool. But regardless, as you guys can see, we have our hats on backwards, and if you guys don't know what the tradition is around that, we just wanted to pay respect to Hendrick Motorsports, as today was unfortunately the 17th anniversary of when the plane went down and crashed heading to Martinsville back 17 years ago, and Rick Hendrick and his wife lost their son and several other members of Team Hendrick. So as a Hendrick Motorsports fan, it's a bit humbling to always have this day come around every year and think about all the people that were lost that day. And unfortunately, I'm too young to remember that day, but I've seen several videos and everything of what happened, all that kind of stuff. So really cool if they do the backwards hat tradition. They did it during the race. They always do it at Victory Lane. So we just wanted to pay our respects to them today. But Matthew's on the show, and man, what a crazy race at Kansas today, specifically in the Cup Series. But yeah, what you gotta say briefly before we hop into it?
Well, it's been a long day. Let's just say that. First, I had to travel back here because I was out of town for the weekend, and then after the race today, it was a mix full of emotions. Let's just say that. At first, I thought we were done, and now we're somehow above the cut line by 1 point somehow. So it only makes Martinsville more nerve-wracking. So it's gonna be interesting coming next week.
Yeah, next week's gonna be awesome. I've said this several times already, but we're gonna be going to that race, and it's gonna be intense to figure out who will be in the Final Four. But quickly, I just want to briefly recap the Xfinity race. There was a crash with two playoff contenders, Daniel Hamrick and Noah Gregson. They both wrecked coming off of turn 2. They were both able to repair their cars, but that was Daniel Hamrick not so much being able to repair his car. Noah Gregson was, and he surprisingly drove back up through the field. And he was fighting his way back up until he got in an incident where Sam Mayer, who is his teammate, hit Harrison Burton. They were 3 wide coming off turn 4, and Sam Mayer basically tapped Harrison Burton, and then he turned into Noah Gregson and wrecked both of them, unfortunately. And really quick, I just want to go on this non-playoff driver tangent. Like, it's okay that non-playoff drivers are racing the playoff drivers, but right there, Sam Mayer should have backed off just a little bit. He should have known what they were racing for and all that kind of stuff. 3 wide coming off the corner with a non-playoff driver on the bottom. I think he should have lifted there, to be honest. But today, when Austin Dillon got loose and slammed into Ryan Blaney, I think that's a little bit of a different story. But I think when it comes to those kind of situations, non-playoff drivers need to be a little bit more aware of what they're doing. I'm fine with them racing the playoff drivers, but give them a little bit of a break when needed. But anyways, Ty Gibbs actually had a speeding penalty in Stage 3, but he would rally back, and he would take the lead with 10 laps to go and end up winning the race, his 3rd win of the season for that young man. And he's the future of the Xfinity Series for sure. Great win for him. He won the ARCA Championship later that night, so got a little bit of a double crown there for him. So got the win in the ARCA Championship as well. So heading into Martinsville for the playoffs, nobody's locked in. Nobody won in this round so far. So nobody's safe. Allmendinger and Cindric are both like 40-something points above, so they should be okay. But they could have a bad race and something could happen. So it'll be interesting for sure to see who locks themselves in with nobody officially locked into the Final Four yet. So Matthew, what do you briefly have to say about the Xfinity race?
Well, once again, I've always said this every time about Ty Gibbs. It's him in training right here. I mean, he's the future. This kid is, in a part-time season, 4 wins. And I know people are going to automatically say, oh, he's driving the 54 car, that car's got, a bunch of stuff in it, blah, 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 making excuses as usual. But, you gotta have talent to drive these cars. Ty Dillon was in that same car, and, he didn't really perform as well as the other drivers that have been in that car, so it's not necessarily the car. It's all about the driver too. So Ty Gibbs just has a lot of talent. I can't wait to see him full time next year, even though they haven't announced it, but we're assuming that's going to happen. One thing I want to touch up real quick is that whole Sam Mayer incident with Harrison Burton and Gregson. You were absolutely 100% about that. In my opinion, I think Sam Mayer needs a full-time Truck Series season before he needs to be in a full-time Xfinity ride, in my opinion. He's been a little inconsistent for me. He's looked real good at short tracks, but other than that, he's been inconsistent, in my opinion. But, I guess we'll see how he does next season full-time, but I believe Sam Mayer needs a full-time Truck Series season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't mind the non-playoff guys racing the playoff guys, but when you're in that kind of situation, 3 wide, I definitely think you need to back off a little bit. But, it is what it is. We'll see how he does next season. Playoff grid for that is going to be interesting for the Xfinity Series. But now talk about the main event of the weekend, and that was the Cup race. So all I'm going to say before we preview this is I'm going to pull a Rick Allen here and say championship implications. Because
hey, that's my line.
That was basically the summary of this race. Championship implications for several drivers.
I'm always saying that to Jimmy, by the way, whenever a playoff driver has an issue. That's what I'll always say.
Rick Allen, man. I missed him in the booth today, unfortunately, but hopefully he'll be back next week. But hopping into the recap of the race, there was a caution very early in the race for rain. There was a brief little shower that came through. Took him probably about 30 minutes to get the track dry and get him back on track. Thankfully, just a small little shower. And right after that, when they got green, that's when the problems started happening. Kyle Busch, he had a flat tire on lap 23. He got into the wall, and that eventually caused a tire to rub, and he would have to come pit. Brad Keselowski, he had a flat tire as well, same thing. Truex, he had a flat tire too. That was the same thing. Ryan Blaney, he had a flat tire. All 4 of those playoff drivers had a flat tire in stage 1, and they had to pit Kyle Busch. The caution came out for Kyle Busch, and then for Keselowski, Truex, and Blaney, they had to pit under green. So that was 4 playoff drivers right there off the bat that had an issue. Kyle Larson would win stage 1. Kyle Busch was actually able to come back and finish 9th in stage 1 after what happened to his car. So that was crazy to see him come back and finish 9th. Unfortunately for Kyle Busch, though, the troubles would not end there. In stage 2, he hit the wall again, and he would have to pit under green. And the damage was pretty significant the second time he hit the wall, unfortunately, and he had to pit, and he went 4 or 5 laps down. So at that point, it was looking like it might be a must-win for him. Stage 2, William Byron won that. William Byron, I think, again, had the fastest car in this race for the second week in a row. Just couldn't get it done. Bad luck for him. Strikes once again. After stage 2, only 4 championship drivers got stage points, and Chase Elliott got 17 or 16 or something like that. So that really helped him with the points, all those playoff points, or stage points, sorry. Ryan Blaney didn't get any, or no, he got 2, I believe, for both stages. So that really helped Chase Elliott out, establish where he is in points right now. In stage 3, Ryan Newman spun with 50 laps to go. That brought out a caution, and then after that, Ryan Blaney had another issue. Austin Dillon got into him on that restart after the Ryan Newman incident. Spun Ryan Blaney. He hit the wall hard. Unfortunately, took him out of the race, and that made the cut line a lot smaller to what it is right now, which I'll show you guys in a little bit. After that, though, Kyle Larson would still stay out front. Kevin Harvick made a charge on one of those restarts, but Larson was able to hold him off, and then Chase Elliott was able to pass Kevin Harvick. I was crossing my fingers and holding my breath as he did that, because still a tiny bit nervous that Harvick isn't done retaliating yet, but Chase Elliott was able to go by him, and he was running down Larson. I really do think Chase Elliott had the faster car here, but he got into the wall quite a few times off turn 2, and I was holding my breath. I was texting Matthew. I was like, what in the world is Chase Elliott doing? He hit the wall once, and he's still doing it. He's still trying to run the wall and hit it quite a few times, but thankfully he brought the car home in one piece and finished second in this race. But Kyle Larson wins once again his 9th win of the season, basically going into Martinsville, making people race for points, basically, because he's the only one that locked himself in. But the thing I want to talk about really quick is turn 2, because That's where all the drivers had issues today. Every driver I listed pretty much. Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex, Chase Elliott even. They all hit turn 2. I don't know what it was. I think it, you know what? I think it might have been the wind because the wind was pushing down the backstretch, but that seemed like the trouble spot all day. Several drivers hit the wall coming off turn 2. But yeah, Kyle Larson gets the win again, 9th win of the season. Easily a championship favorite right now. Matthew, go ahead and give me your thoughts, and then I'll go over the top 10 and the playoff grid.
Well, it was a typical Hendrick-dominated race, typical Larson-dominated race, corrected. And also a typical 550 package race, as there were times that looked exciting on the restarts, and then there's times that went absolutely garbage. And that's just typical. I'm so glad this is the final 550 race of the season with the Gen 6 car, because I couldn't wait to get this race out of the way, because we got the 750 package for the rest of these last races now, so I'm happy about that. Those wins really messed up a lot of these drivers. It seemed like it was I could tell it was really strong wins by the camera shaking, going like to the backstretch. You could see that camera shaking. That's how you could tell how high those winds are over there. And there was a couple times I feel like NASCAR was really inconsistent with throwing the caution and not throwing the caution. Like, for example, they threw the caution when Kyle Busch hit the wall for the first time. But when Kyle Busch did the same thing again, but it was a harder hit than that one, there was no caution. So that was a little inconsistent in my opinion. And there was also a piece of debris on the racetrack, on the back straightaway, that was on the bottom lane. It wasn't like out of the racing surge. It was on the bottom lane, the backstretch. There was no caution for that. So there were once again another debris caution gone missing again. But other than that, it was just a dominated Kyle Larson race, and yeah, he's winning this championship. I mean, I can't see. I mean, the only way he's losing the championship is if he beats himself, which that has happened a couple times this year. But other than that, I feel like he's going to win this championship. I mean, he's just been so dominant. It doesn't matter what track we are. He just looks so good. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, even my driver's in it, even his driver's in it, or both our drivers in it. I don't think we're going to beat Larson. He's just fast. Way too fast.
Yeah, Larson's looking really good, but we were talking about a little bit before the show, and I definitely think Larson is the favorite going into Phoenix, but I do think it's not just going to be a runaway, because I feel like it's going to be a little bit more tight and competitive. I mean, we saw what happened at Phoenix last year. I mean, I don't think Chase Elliott was the favorite heading into Phoenix, and he ended up winning the race in the championship. So,
or 2018, when Joe Logano clearly wasn't the favorite out of the big three. That's the biggest example.
Yep. And I'd say the biggest 2016 Jimmy Johnson winning the championship. That was, I mean, he had a few wins. He wasn't the favorite, but he won a few races that season. I mean,
Carl Edwards was the dominant car that race, though. So Carl Edwards was looking the favorite there.
All right, so let me go over the top 10 with you guys really quick, and then I'll hop into the playoff seating as well. So Kyle Larson obviously getting the win. Chase Elliott second. Great run for him. Kevin Harvick third. Kurt Busch fourth. Danny Hamlin fifth. William Byron sixth. Great comeback for him because he had a loose wheel, I believe, on pit road, and they had to come back and do that under caution and redo that. Truex seventh. He was 2 laps down at one point, I believe, so great comeback for him. Christopher Bell eighth. Great run for him. Logano ninth. Austin Dillon 10th. I haven't said Austin Dillon's name in a hot minute, so interesting to see him get a top 10. The other playoff drivers have finished outside the top 10. Brad Keselowski 17th, Kyle Busch 28th, and Ryan Blaney 37th. So let me go over the playoff grid also really quick. So Kyle Larson still obviously punched into the final four. Nobody else punched their way. He went in, obviously, because he won this race. He's won 3 in a row now, which is insane. It's only like the second time ever a driver's won 3 races in a season twice. Him and Dale Earnhardt did it, so absolutely crazy for him to do that. Chase Elliott is plus 34, and Denny Hamlin plus 32, so they're looking pretty good for now heading into Martinsville. I'd say that's a pretty good points cushion, but Obviously, anything could happen today with Ryan Blaney. He was plus 17, I believe, and now he is minus 1. So, anything could happen. Kyle Busch plus 1, Ryan Blaney minus 1, which is crazy. I bet Matthew's over there kind of clapping and going crazy over that because there was a point Kyle Busch was out by about 20 points in this race. So, for him to be plus 1 going to Martinsville, I think that's a huge win for him. Martin Truex minus 3, Brad Keselowski minus 6. Ryan Blaney crashing definitely made this a lot tighter because before this happened, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and Ryan Blaney were in by at least 20 plus points. But once Blaney had his issue, that tightened everything right back up. So Joey Logano even is kind of in it at minus 26. He was minus 40 something at one point. So anybody is still in this. Heading into Martinsville though, you gotta watch out for Martin Truex. So if he somehow wins this race, I still think Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin are good because they'll still be plus 30 above the cut line. But, if he doesn't win, it'll be between Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney. So, Matthew, go ahead and give me your quick thoughts about these playoff standings heading into Martinsville.
One quick thing, I want to show the Parker Clearman, that 96 car. He was able to bring it home top 20 with that car. The Gaunt Brothers car was actually up there. And there was even times he was like top 5 in speeds for a Gaunt Brothers car.
That was great for him, and if you guys didn't have...
Get Gaunt Brothers in the next gen car and let Parker Kligerman run full time in that car if he runs like that.
Yeah, let Parker Kligerman drive and let me take his job because I want to be a pit reporter. So I'll DM Parker Kligerman real quick and be like, hey, you can run full time for them and let me take your job next year. But anyway, they had a cool thing going on with you could get a hoodie for $1. I ended up doing it just because I'm like, a hoodie for $1? Why not? So... it was great for Parker Kligerman to get a good run in that number 96 car. But let's rate the race really.
Wait. I gotta explain the playoff stuff first.
Oh yeah, good.
Guys, I didn't get to that. Well, coming to Martinsville, those two, Elliott, Hamlin, are safe, but like you said, anything can happen, and so while they are good, they're not exactly safe, and it's Martinsville, so. There's going to be a lot of chaos, especially with, people spinning out, lap traffic being in the way every lap, and I think it's going to take some luck for those people. I think it's going to take some luck for some drivers to get in, or some unfortunate luck to get eliminated at this track. I can't believe we're even 1 point above the cut line after all we've been through today. I thought Texas and Kansas were going to be our two best tracks this round, or this playoff. Well, I thought this round those two tracks were really going to excel. Complete opposite. Like, we won the first stage in Texas, but after that, it went downhill from there. We didn't look. I mean, we weren't bad. We just didn't look the best like we were earlier. And then Kansas, I don't even need to discuss what went wrong today. We already captured that, and we've heard Kyle Busch's radio what it was like today. But somehow, someway, we're able to be 1 point above the cut line. What a blast. And then I'm a little concerned about Blaney going to Martinsville because his short track record hasn't been the best compared to mile and a half this year. So... that's going to be a question for me. Have they been running the mile and a halves? Will they run that good on the short tracks? We'll see. Truex is definitely going to be a threat next weekend. That's the one I think both of us will be concerned about in case, any of us have issues and Truex wins. That's not going to be good. But he's going to be a threat. Logano's going to be a threat too. He's always good at this track. And... yeah, it's gonna be crazy coming up next weekend. It's gonna be a crazy race.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a chance for a driver below the cut line to win and then make the playoffs even more interesting. So, yeah, Martinsville is gonna be intense. But let's quickly rate this race, and as we rate this race, I will eat my words because I said, in our preview video that Kansas would probably be worse than Texas, and I was wrong. Kansas was pretty good, in my opinion. I thought it was... don't quote me on it, but I want to say this is the best 550 race of the year, in my opinion, because I feel like you can use the multiple groups at Kansas. You could use the bottom, you could use the top. Even though that air bubble was still there, you could use multiple groups to try and pass. So I feel like Kansas was actually a pretty decent race. So I think I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. I'll give it that. So Matthew, go ahead and rate it too.
So for this Kansas race, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 because I thought it was better than Texas last week, and I thought it was better than Las Vegas earlier. I mean, there was still a bunch of that 550 stuff that I don't like, but there was a lot of playoff drama, which made it a little bit better. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, so as we wrap this video up, it's time to look at our own fantasy playoff standings, and I'm there. I'm close. I got 3 more points on you, and now I'm only 1 point behind you. It's 33-32, and yeah, I know you say blah blah blah. Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
We do this every video, guys. Like,
I'm not gonna
literally do. This man comes at me every video saying I changed the rules and I didn't, but agreed. I think we need to agree to disagree at this point. I'm glad the season's almost over, so we don't have to talk about this anymore. But, yeah, anyways, besides that, do you have any other closing thoughts before we wrap the video up?
Nope, ready for Martinsville.
Martinsville is going to be awesome. We're both going to be going, as I've said several times. We're going to be vlogging it for you guys. That video should probably be out the middle of next week, something like that. Our next video will be the preview for Martinsville, which should hopefully be out Thursday or Friday, depending on when I leave for Martinsville, because I'm the one just doing the editing and uploading and all that crazy stuff. But so you guys stay tuned to our social media page, our Instagram. We'll let you guys know as soon as the videos are live. But yeah, that's going to wrap for this video. Watch out for our videos in the future. But until then, we'll see you guys in our next video.